4th down and goal from the 9. Carr throws into traffic. Intercepted. The Bengals have the ball. They are running it back. Sam Hubbard.
Stanford Jennings is going to go all the way. And when it comes down, the Bengals are champions.
Now the Bengals Super Bowl chances rest on his right foot. The kick is up. It is good.
Today, Bengal fans, here we gather, talking football back for year 5. We're covering all things Houday Nation. We're glad you joined us here tonight. Special guests, past and present players. You never know who you might see. One thing that's for sure, it's all things Bengals. And it all goes back to charity. We at Talking Football want to thank you for joining us for the show tonight. By the fans, for the fans, until the very end. It's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and friends. It's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and friends.
What's up, everybody? Another dub. Everybody that was down in Nashville. We had a great time down there. A lot of stuff going on tonight. We've got Geoff Hobson coming on at 8:20. A lot of things to get through. But, James, we're missing one of our buddies, a couple of our buddies right now. What's going on? You're on mute.
Man, first mistake all night. 10 seconds into the show. We are. Jamie is, I think, politicking to either remove Justin Trudeau as his prime minister or keep him in. So I'm not sure which side he's leaning on. John can probably give us some insight as our resident Canadian that's made twice as many shows as Jamie's had this year. But Jamie will not be with us, but we do have a very, very special guest. Do you want to introduce him?
I don't know how to introduce. This is a second or third annual appearance, and all the kids that are watching right now, if your mom and dad can help type in anything in the chat area, no matter where you're watching right now, go ahead and let's introduce Kris Kringle, Bengal Kris Kringle.
The second time, as you mentioned, I believe in a row, took time out of his busy schedule to join us here.
This time of year, James, I can't believe he's joining us. Really,
it's unbelievable. So, without further ado, let's bring him on.
Merry Christmas to Bengal Jim and friends, and all your listeners, all your viewers, and Bengal fans everywhere. Merry Christmas,
Santa. Thank you for joining us,
Santa. I do have a question for you, bud. So. I don't know if this counts as a gift, but we need a Bengals win and a Chargers win this week. Can you make it happen?
Santa got out of the sports business back in the 80s, Bengal Jim. After, I was asked for a favor to help the Bengals get to the Super Bowl. So I talked to my friend Nicole Miser and had him send an Arctic blast down in January of 82. And Santa got so much hate mail over that. Santa loves sports. He'll watch sports, but he doesn't affect sports. But he loves his Bengals and is hoping for the best.
Santa, it looks like you have a vintage helmet on. Is that something that the Elves made, or is that from a former player that perhaps was
This was a gift. It's on the back. It's number 74 from Rich Bram, one of Santa's favorites from back in the day. But, it's a Rich Bram helmet. And James, especially this week, I'm glad that you brought this up because I started wearing this to Cleveland week because they started throwing batteries and dog biscuits at Santa. The jolly old elf would go to the city by Lake Erie and slide down a chimney, and they'd chuck batteries or dog biscuits or whatever. So Santa needed a helmet, and he certainly wasn't going to wear a Browns helmet. So, I started wearing this, and it works pretty well, and it pisses them off in Northeast Ohio when Santa's making his rounds on the 24th. So it's a win-win for everybody.
So Santa, you really do deliver toys to mistake by the lake, the city up north? There's actually kids that deserve toys up there?
No, just a lot of paper towels.
Dude wipes.
Dude wipes. Santa, there's been a lot of drone sightings over the Northeast, Jersey, some even down in Florida. Heck, some even here in the Midwest. Can you confirm or deny you've been scoping out those areas for toy delivery?
Well, Santa, about 40, 50 years ago, developed an elaborate satellite system. So Santa doesn't need drones. I have my elves. I have my elves on the shelf. And I have my satellites to check on everybody to see who's being naughty and nice. And since you brought him up, I get a lot of requests, even from Bengal Jim and friends himself. If you could help me out, if you tell Jamie I don't do politics either, so he cannot be next, at least by me, he cannot be next Prime Minister of Canada. So, but I wish him all luck. And if you could please get a word to Tony. I'm well aware he wants face paint. There's no need, if he could please save a tree. There is no need to write Santa every day, every single day. It's called email. And furthermore, he has his wife write the letter. Santa knows. Santa sees everything. So, yeah, I understand he's on the good list. He's so good with charity and giving of his time and keeping the Christmas spirit in his heart 365 days a year, but there's no need to write Santa 365 days a year.
That's something we just found out, James. I didn't know Tony wrote that many letters to Santa.
Well, as Santa says, I think it's Carrie. She's her penmanship's probably better. She's probably more gracious to Santa than the tiger, and not surprised. Tony uses a lot of face paint. Here's a question. This isn't a viewer question. I'm going to go to that next. But Santa, can you confirm if Kyler Murray is one of your elves?
An elf? No.
Yes.
Not an elf.
But, he's short enough, though, right?
Well, he likes to stand on a phone book. He's still got an old phone book he likes to stand on. So technically, he's too tall.
Okay. And go ahead.
So Santa, I don't know if you can share what James has written to you for what he needs, but did it have anything to do with the mustache? Any like gel or get the gray out? Grecian form.
I received nothing from James in that regard. But again, we'll mention another wife. I did hear from his wife, and I can confirm he will get a can of Procter & Gamble Edge shaving gel, maybe even a little, a Gillette razor. And some old-fashioned Old Spice shaving butter. And James, use it when you get it. Okay. Don't worry.
Got it. Lisa has a question. She would like a healthy O-line for Christmas. We saw Devin Cochran start at the left tackle, a 9th hour insertion into the lineup on Sunday, who did pretty well after a shaky start. So what do you think for the Sunday night game against the Sunday day game, 1:00 game against the Browns? Healthy O-line, or is that wishful thinking, Santa?
Well, it might be wishful thinking because Santa doesn't see Orlando Brown being back Sunday. So, but Santa does think that Cody Ford will return. I think the good question, and we might have you guys put this to Geoff Hobson, even though it's not like Jeff and I don't talk all the time anyway. Jeff's he asked for a lot of cat toys for Christmas, but nonetheless, the question there is, does Cochran play left tackle? Does Cochran play left guard? Does Cody Ford play left tackle or left guard? And does that combination with Cochran better than anything with Cordell Volson, who is a marvelous human being, but has had his struggles? And let me tell you something. Offensive linemen that get Joe Burrow hit, Santa doesn't come to their house, and if he does, they get a lump of coal in their stocking.
Santa, I'm going to go back in Bengal history because I know you've been a Bengals fan a long, long time, and I know you remember. I'm going to go back December 17th, 1989. I didn't know if you gave Sam Weiss a lump of coal for this, but watch this video and let's talk about it.
Gary Glanville and Sam Weiss, the adversary. White's the coach of the Bengals with his team leading 58-7. So Glanville, as the Bengals set up for a field goal try to get even more before the final gun, Glanville calls a timeout.
You don't think that this could be a fake field goal, do you? I mean, that would be the ultimate. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past Sam.
You know, he might have the two generals meet at midfield and slug it out. Spare the troops the rest of this. Bengals setting up for the field goal try, which, if good, would make it a 61-7 game. Jim Breach ready to kick it. Lee Johnson holds. Kicks on the way, and the kick is good. 21 seconds to play, and the Bengals extend their lead to 61-7.
Santa, 61-7. Bengals do an onside kick the ball back, call a timeout, kick a field goal to make it 61-7. I mean, you were there. I saw you that day. So talk about that game a little.
Well, that was actually one of my helpers. When Santa went to Riverfront, Santa always preferred a luxury suite. But, the interesting part of that game, of that whole thing, was Boomer Esiason called Warren Moon the next day and apologized for that, for running up the score and so forth. I don't blame Sam Weiss for doing it. Jerry Glanville brought a lot of that on himself. Maybe not at the very end, but it'll certainly go down as one of the great marks of Sam's legacy.
Yeah, no doubt. So one more, December 17th, 2000. It is another cold game that I saw you at. You were sitting in the green seats in the north end zone this day. But talk about this game after we play this video.
Field with a wind chill of 20 below. Snow covered, torn up field with a wind chill of 20 below. Warwick had a fire lit under his feet.
Tries to go to the right side. He's going to try and sprint out. Tries to cut back at the 20. Going to come back left side. Gets a couple of tackles. Still makes a move. He's got a breakout. Out across the 30. Breaks another tackle. Peter Warwick is gone. Nobody is going to catch him. Peter Warwick with a great punt return. This is what he can do. Touchdown, Bengals. Unbelievable effort.
Warwick eluded all 11 Jaguars on one of the best NFL punt returns in recent memory. In the second coldest game in Cincinnati history, the Bengals trailed 14-7 in the fourth quarter. Then, another rookie receiver got hot. Danny Farmer had 5 receptions for 102 yards. 3 catches came on a drive that culminated with a tying touchdown run by quarterback Scott Mitchell. On the ensuing kickoff, number 34, Tremaine Mack, caused a Jacksonville fumble.
Hine is the Bengals say they have it. Ball. Oh, they got it. They got it. 3 seconds remain.
The Bengals were now in position to win.
Snap is good. Hold is good. The kick is up and it's good. And we've reached 0-0. The Bengals have won.
A cold day, Santa, at Paul Brown Stadium at the time. Talk about that one.
That was a incredibly brutally cold day. But to Santa, it was a day at the beach. I mean, compared to the North Pole. And I'm glad you do remember that Santa prefers the north end zone, section 126, where all the action is. But, yeah, it was an improbable win, but a good win. Jacksonville was a pretty good team that year and had some unlikely characters. Scott Mitchell, who was never exactly known for slinging the ball around, was able to move the team when they needed, and we went from there.
Fun day.
One last question before we let you go, Santa. Is Joe on the naughty list for his raising his voice on the sideline Sunday to Coach Taylor?
No, not at all. And I think the guys will agree. Dan Horde addressed this very well today on social media. Just a week ago, Joe talked about how this was a dream coaching staff and a dream relationship that he has with his offensive coaching staff. Santa likes a quarterback that holds himself and his teammates accountable. And they were not perfect on the drive. They have been far from perfect this season. Joe Burrow is the type of quarterback that demands perfection, maximum effort from the guys around him. And what he said, I think, was spot on to his coach. Maybe not what Zach Taylor needed to hear right at that particular time when the game was still going on. But no, I think everybody shares his sentiments, shares Joe's sentiments. And no, he's not on the naughty list at all for that.
Nice time. Oh, yeah, I hear that. Sorry, I was reading Tom's comment. Santa. Jimmy, anything else before we have to let Santa go?
James, I don't know how you did it, man, getting him for the second year in a row this time of year, man. It's difficult. So thanks for getting Chris Kringle, Santa. We appreciate you. I got special cookies for you this year, buddy. So you'll be excited when you see them.
And thank you for that, Jimmy. Santa prefers the sugar cookies with that nice Christmas icing on it, as opposed to that sawdust shit they give me up in Canada. It's barely, I wouldn't even give that to a reindeer. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much. Thank you for all you do, spreading goodwill, the charitable work when it's non-football season, letting everybody talk football and Jungle Jam and Jungle to the Hall. And, if everybody out there, the right people, if you want to get Santa something this year, get on and encourage everybody to vote for Willie Anderson for the Hall of Fame. Santa's all-time favorite Bengal. It's well overdue.
And Santa, we'll tell Tom you said hello. He couldn't make it here. He's supposed to be on the next couple minutes, but we love you, buddy. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Oh, Merry Christmas, guys. Mm-hmm. And please say hello to my good friend Geoff Hobson. Tell him those cat toys are coming.
Merry Christmas, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Man,
Santa, 2 years. 2 years.
That's bigger than getting like Ken Anderson and Willie Anderson and Elizabeth Blackburn. That's a big get for you, buddy. Big.
Feel sorry for us because of the season we've had or what? But
yeah, I don't know.
Certainly Canadians can't bake. Let's talk about Nashville before our guest comes on.
Yeah, man, I don't even know where to start. We had a massive crowd at the Tailgate Brewery up in Nashville the night before, meet and greet. It was totally packed. Grater's Ice Cream shows up. And then the tailgate Sunday morning was massive. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. You guys showed up and showed out at the tailgate. We had a live performance by the Bengal Boys. Tony and Carrie and the rest of our crew raised over $2,000 for kids' Toys for Tots. And Tony went out and bought a couple $1,000s worth of toys to get our number up to, I think we're almost like 1,500 toys for Toys for Tots. So appreciate everybody being part of it. The Bengal Boys performance, the 12 Days of Christmas Bengal style. That video will be posted. If you were not at the tailgate or seeing it on social media, you will see the Bengal Boys 12 Days of Bengals Christmas this week, probably the day before the game. And trust me, if you weren't at the tailgate to see it, it's probably one of their best ones they've ever done, James. It was awesome.
100%. Yeah, I believe the link is on social media, and I also believe the Bengals media crew was there that'll film it as part of what's the weekly segment they do called? I don't
know if it's going to be on a social media platform or the weekly show or how they're going to do it, but it's going to be up here very soon. We got another wedding, our second wedding of the year at the tailgate this Sunday, James. So we got another wedding. I don't care if it's going to be a little cold out or not. We're going to be down there, show up and show it out. It's Stripe the Jungle again. Make sure you check your section. The Bengals sent out an email here just the other day about that. So make sure you check your section that you're in if you should be in orange or black. It's a great time down there. But the tailgate Sunday, we have a lot of stuff going on, including another wedding at the tailgate. Charity total, James. Let's hit that real quick, if you don't mind.
That here. Speaking of that, the charity this weekend will be Special Olympics. You can see this total, just a hair under $150,000 raised this year, and that's 100% because of your generosity, Bengals fans from far and wide, whether it was a away game you attended, whether it was Jungle Jam that you attended, whether it was a home game, or just simply watching the show and contributing through one of the raffles there. We certainly appreciate that. Again, Toys for Tots, you can bring those down on Sunday.
Yep.
If you brought him the first game a couple of weeks ago, thank you so much. And then, as always, as we mentioned, Special Olympics will be the charity beneficiary this Sunday for the flexed game against the Browns. We'll talk about the Broncos game towards the end of the show there, which officially announced that game time. So we now know if that's going to be Saturday or Sunday. But As always, just I think Tony said in Nashville this past weekend, we sold out of the playing cards quickest ever. It was like under an hour. Went through two
full decks,
$1,000 for charity, and just like it's always.
This week right here for the charity raffle, we've got a Jeff Blake signed pylon that will be down there for the raffle, and this is not a replica helmet, but a real helmet signed by Jeff Blake and Jamar Chase. This will be raffled off.
Joe Burrow, right?
So get down there. I'm sorry, who did I say? Chase and Joe Burrow. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that will be raffled off down at the tailgate this week. So get down there. Let's have some fun and get it ready to strike the jungle and get a dub against the city up north here. James, I think Tom's in the waiting room now. He's back.
Tom,
you just missed Santa. You just missed Santa. He was just on.
Really?
Yeah.
So how was the jolly old elf?
He had a little attitude today, James, I thought, really.
The one thing I love about Santa is he hates Cleveland. So it was a good week to have him on. Forget Christmas. If you have Santa on for Cleveland week. The man does not like the Warriors from Lake Erie.
That's right. Let's not keep our guest waiting. He's in the waiting room right now. Tom, we have him on a couple times a year, and he's one of our favorite guests on the show. Provides a lot of insight and love listening to him. Love talking to him. Tom, go ahead and introduce our guest for this evening.
Well, you're exactly right, Jimmy. Nobody has more Bengal insight. He is in the history of the Bengals franchise, he is the Anthony Munoz of Bengal scribes. He knows what's going on inside the organization, outside of the organization. He is the heartbeat, getting Bengals into the Hall of Fame and getting them properly presented and so forth. Just a class person, and he has been so wonderful for us. And yes, another member of James Syracuse Mafia. We welcome Geoff Hobson. Jeff, welcome.
Tom, you're very Tom, you're very kind. I don't know who you're talking about, but thank you very much. That was very kind of you. I saw Tom McGill weighed in on the chatter, so I'm going to have to be on my good behavior.
And Jeff, I mean, James was more excited than all of us you being on tonight wearing a Syracuse.
I even wore my Syracuse. I just changed your thing. It said, I don't know what it said before, but I gave you the proper due now, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, James. I'm giving a nod to Teddy Karras tonight with a Cincy hat.
Right.
Potsy, our esteemed director of college scouting, swears he's got a Syracuse hat for me, but that was 6 months ago, and I still haven't seen it. So I'm going to have to wait for Andrew Johnson to make his visit there, our esteemed East Coast scout, and apparently to come up with some Syracuse swag.
Careful what you wish for. Santa might drop some in the mailbox.
Yeah, I was. There's no Santa in Cleveland. Only Ebenezer Scrooge.
That's right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. As you're watching right now, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, throw in any questions you want us to throw by Jeff. We'll try to get to those. But Tom, get us started off tonight. I'm looking forward to this conversation with Jeff.
Well, Jeff, just like Joe Burrow, Bengal fans are not thrilled with the record right now. Right. But just like Joe Burrow, we're kind of watching an historic season in terms of quarterback play, receiver play, and really the offense as a whole. The only criticism I can have of the offense is there have been some games I wish they could have churned out one more first down at the very end of the game, and the running game is maybe still not perfect. Do you get a sense, talking to other writers around the nation, are they giving the respect that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase deserve, and really the offensive coaching staff?
Yeah, Tom, I think as my fellow historian, I think that what we're seeing out there is, and you've been here longer than I have, so you've seen you saw the great Kenny Anderson years. We saw Carson Palmer have those, some monster years at the turn of the century there, but nobody's done what Burrow has, and I do think it has. I do think it has resonated across the land. I think everybody you talk to, from a guy like Kurt Warner to the Browns beat guy up in Cleveland, Tony Grossi, who's a closet Burrow fanatic and has to fend off the folks in Cleveland whenever he starts talking about Burrow. But he's an Ohio guy. He loves Burrow. But it's the same. The theme is the same. Just wish, if they had won a couple more games, he'd be, probably be, I would say, Tom, he would be the third Bengals MVP in history, right? Joining Kenny in 81 and Boomer in 88. I would think, because he's extremely popular. Extremely popular. If we didn't realize how much we certainly do, we certainly do now in the last month.
Geoff, appreciate you joining us. This weekend's game, we know, was supposed to be 2 nights from now on Thursday night in prime time. Season hasn't gone like either teams would have liked. Certainly worse for the Browns. Best with a lot of people's traveling Bengals fans traveling into the game. Certainly nothing the Bengals, had to do with it. Denver agreed to a second road Thursday night game. What's your thoughts on that? Pushing us to the normal, if you want to use that word, Sunday 1 p.m. time slot.
Yeah, Denver's a better man than I am, because those Thursday, those primetime games as a whole are challenging coming back. I think even Burrow mentioned that. I was feeling tired, but then here's this guy who just celebrated his 28th birthday, who's the best quarterback, in the league right now, and he's complaining about how those night games really kind of hurt you coming the next week. Although he has yet to lose a short Monday night game. I think he's lost one. I think he's like 3-1 now. It doesn't seem to bother him, but I think anytime you take a team out of the routine of a week, it's tough. Now for the Bengals I think they're getting used to it now, because since 2022, they've been in the spotlight. So I think they're starting to get used to it. But that's going to be an interesting game, Denver, isn't it, James? I mean, things could be things. I mean, they could really, the Bengals could really screw up that last week with a win Sunday and then a win over Denver.
100%. Yeah. I think all Bengals fans will be tuned in for sure Thursday night, seeing what happens with the Chargers and Broncos. As we said, it was a game Broncos had to agree to. Right. If they didn't, I'm not so sure we get flexed out and we'd be playing in primetime once again. But we'll see. And, again, and the season hasn't gone like any of us like, but still have a chance, this late in the season, knowing what we're up against. It is what it is. Jimmy?
Yeah, Geoff, I mean, again, obviously easy things, Chase and Burrow and all that, but I just want to kind of go off script a little bit here. I tell you what, Chase Brown quietly is having a hell of a year, Geoff, and he's been fun to watch, man. He's really come into his own.
He's clearly a 3-down back. I think these guys knew that all along, but I think there was some questions about it. But I mean, in the last month, Jimmy, as you know, he's been as good as any back in the league, except maybe Barkley. And to me, and I'm going to write about this later in the week, but to me, he's the quintessential West Coast running back. Now, that doesn't mean a hell of a lot to maybe the young folks of today, but when Cincinnati plays Cleveland, that's kind of the West Coast offense was born in Cincinnati, and it gave rise to a new way of football, but it was born in Cleveland because Paul Brown began it in Cleveland with the skeleton of what became the West Coast. To me, what the Bengals do with Chase Brown, it's kind of a throwback, to the days of James Brooks, where they got a guy that is basically extending the running game with the passing game, and a dual-purpose guy who is durable and who just can, like Brooks, he can break it at any moment. He can be gone, one step and he's gone. And they haven't had that in a while, and it's interesting. I asked Zach Taylor about the West Coast offense and if he felt this was one of the big elements of it. And he looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. And that's no knock on Zach. That's just the way the game evolves. I mean, it's the same elements, just different names, maybe branded a little bit differently. It's a part of Zach's offense now. It's a part of what Zach has crafted here in Cincinnati, and with the drafting of Brown, it's become and the way Burrow plays quarterback, it's been a nice mesh. But I think Tom would say we've seen this before with how Chase Brown's playing the position.
Yep. I guess a follow-up question for you on that is, pretty excited about getting Jermaine Burton, in the draft. I know Zach was. I know he's kind of some ups and downs this year, but he hasn't seen a whole lot of snaps.
No, he hasn't.
Offensively. Yeah. Just kind of talk about Jermaine, just kind of his maturation. I mean, learning the offense, I'm assuming still, and kind of getting the hang of everything in the playbook.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what you're hearing, he had the incident, several weeks ago where he was basically benched, didn't make a meeting, and since then he seems to have, as they say, check all the boxes, whatever that means. But I think it means the coaches have been, I think, happy with what he's doing in meetings and at practice. But it's like you said, Jimmy, he's not playing. Doesn't have a hell of a lot of snaps. So, and it's hard, it's hard to get into a lineup with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, but also, a guy like Mike Gesicki. I mean, it's you've only got so many footballs. Yoshvas, he's Jermaine's playing. I think Jermaine's going to have a good career here. He's just gonna, he's just gonna have to be patient. There's a lot of guys that can play, but I still think they have, even though his snaps don't reflect it, he's obviously got it. They believe he has a. They still believe that he has that he's going to make a big impact for the club. I mean, the way every time he plays, he seems to make a big play, and whenever they throw the ball to Yoshi, he seems to catch it, and it's most of the time it's for a touchdown in the red zone. So, and Gesicki's been terrific. I mean, his numbers are about as good as any tight end as they had around here in a while. So, there's only one ball, and I think Burton will get his time. I think Burton will get his day in the sun. Whether it's going to be, it's looking more and more like that will be in 25 instead of 24.
Gotcha. Tom?
Geoff, flipping to the defensive side of the ball, I mean, certainly it's been a struggle to get the rhythm and get healthy. And then Sam Hubbard, who probably hasn't played the last 2 seasons healthy at all, looks like we're going to lose him for the rest of the year. When you see guys like Osai coming on and Murphy getting more snaps and having a pretty good game last week, getting pressure on the quarterback, do you think it's time at this part of the season that we're going to see some of those younger guys funnel in more and contribute either by necessity or just simply we got to find out what else we have?
Yeah, I think you have to. With Sam down now, it's it's Murphy, it's Osai. You got to give Hendrickson a break. You got to give him a breather. And I think 52 Cedric Johnson. I know they liked him early on in camp. I think they feel like he's got some potential there as being a guy who can supply some edge. Supply pop off the edge, but as well as maybe drop into coverage. Do that. I think they think he can be a pretty decent hybrid player there on the edge. But you got to find out. And now with Sam down, like you say, there's no choice. So we'll see. Osai, contract year, 3 sacks in his last 4 games. I mean, there's a guy who I don't think he ever came back from the wrist. He broke the wrist. I think that was a pretty severe injury his rookie year in 21. And I think that hurt him a little bit. But you got to remember, in 22, when they won 10 straight, he was he was a huge part of that. He had that was the best run of his career. And then he got hurt again at the beginning of camp in 23. And his whole, it's just it's been a tough stretch for him here, just trying to find a rhythm and get on the field consistently. Now he's been healthy this year. He's getting a lot of snaps. I know he'd like to have some more production than he has. And but it's and he'll certainly get that, and he has in the last month. I mean, I think he's proven. I think he's showing what he did. Those first couple years in the league, when you roll him out there, and he was he'd be getting a hit, a sack. He was bound to do something if you gave him 15 snaps. So I think that's a big guy to watch, and I think Murphy's a guy you got to watch too. I think they're really banking on getting something from him. First round pick in 22. He's got all the measurables. He's got all the tools, and they just need the production to match it. And I think you're right, Tom. I forget who said it, but yes, I think he had a pretty good game, the other day, and he's got to string some of those together.
James?
Geoff, over my shoulder is a picture of Chris Henry, who tragically died 15 years ago today. Much too soon. Wide receiver who drafted a third round out of West Virginia. Can you share a memory or maybe a favorite moment from a game of Chris Henry?
Well, I guess I get two, James, and thanks for the question. One would be everybody remembers Carson Palmer getting hurt, but don't forget at the tail end of that play, of a 66-yard play, Chris Henry got hurt too and was out for that game. I'm talking about the 2005 wild card game against the Steelers, and that's a team that could not cover Chris Henry. It was brutal that Carson got hurt, but it was also Henry was hurt on that same play. They lost him for the game. And I remember the next year in 06, he killed them in the last game of the year. They had to win the game to make the playoffs, and Henry and Palmer took over the fourth quarter in that game, and they had it won, but Shane Graham missed the field goal at the end. But they were only in that position because they couldn't cover Henry in that fourth quarter in 06, which turned out to be that was Bill Cowher's last game. If the Bengals win it, they're in the playoffs, and Chris Henry did everything he could to get him there in position. And then the other one I remember is his 09 training camp, the training camp of that season where he later passed. I remember, he'd had a rough go, but he was there. He had sat out most of 08. He was getting a shot. Mike Brown gave him another shot in 09, and he was making the most of it. And I remember there with his son, and I guess it was the baby. It was the youngest, and he was holding him after a practice, and everything just seemed everything just seemed in front of him, and it was just that's when I think of Chris. I think of that day at Georgetown, holding his little baby after a practice.
Thanks for sharing those thoughts, Geoff. If you go back, we shared a moment from about 3 years ago. We had Morgan Trent on our show, whose locker was right next to Chris Henry, and there was a picture we popped up on the screen, and must have been the year after, where they had the 15 black number on the jersey. So if you're on social media, fans, go take a look at that video, because it was kind of a heartfelt, sincere recap of what Chris Henry was like in the locker room from Morgan Trent, who was a defensive back playing for the Bengals at that time, whose locker happened to be right next to Chris. So we appreciate you sharing your thoughts, Geoff. And that deep throw when Carson, his knee was blown out, was a lot of people don't remember, was to Chris, who made a heck of a play on that for sure. Jimmy?
I've got some questions in the chat area here. Like to throw them out here. So just your impression on Jenkins and McKenzie so far this year.
I like them. They're typical rookies. Those big guys, they take a while to, get settled. Jenkins, you remember, both guys got hurt early. Didn't have much, McKinley didn't have much of a, he got hurt on August 8th. He had barely, I think he maybe been 1 day in pads, and he got hurt. Chris broke his thumb and missed a couple of weeks there early. But I think they're fun. I think they're beginning to hit stride. I think those two guys are going to be all right. They could use some more. They could use probably another big guy up there. But I think Jenkins and Jackson are I think they're okay. I think and I think they'll get better. And I think it's a little too early. I've been reading some of the stuff, and let's hold our water a little bit. And don't start grading the 24 draft, before New Year's Eve. So I think they'll be fine. I think really, I thought Jackson played pretty well in Nashville. But like I say, there's he didn't have much of a camp, and he's a rookie. So,
Tom?
Yeah, mentioning that, Geoff, in grading a draft. and there's been a lot of talk about the Bengals draft. Doesn't seem that far long ago that a mutual friend of ours, the late Jerry Jones, not the owner of the Cowboys, but the drugstore list, who meant a lot to me. And he always said, people would say to him, well, how'd the Bengals do, or how'd Team X do in the draft, a day or two after the draft? And back then, at least, he would always say, you got to wait 2 years to really properly know how guy. And, now it's, my God, it's day 3 of training camp. You'll look on social media, and this guy's a bust, and this guy can't play, and that guy can't play. Do you think that's more of just, society 2025? We have to know right away. Are teams under more pressure to decide early on a guy because of salary cap reasons, if he's a keeper or not? I mean, guys, you can't. It used to be, he would tell me in the draft room when a guy was talking about Paul Brown would look at whoever was the scout that was speaking and say, is he better than what we have now? And he would get a yes or a no. And if it was a no, it was okay. No. Will he be better than what we have now after a year or 2 years of coaching? And then, yes or no.
Right.
Have we lost that?
I mean, I think that's a great point, because it's not just drafting, it's developing. It's putting them, it's using them, it's using them the way your vision was, and that's not. I mean, that's easy to say, but it's hard to do. I mean, if you have a need, and if you have a need and you, well, do you reach, or do you say, well, we can, the worst thing you can say is, well, we can make him do it. We can make him do that. No. You have to look at what he can do, and you can't say, well, we can make him do it. So I mean, it really is an art, finding a guy, and I think that's why, I think, Tom, you probably talked to Jerry a lot about this, about why the Bengals were so coaching centric when they approached the draft. That they're not as coaching centric now, but there's enough DNA in the organization that the coaches have a kind of they got a runway to the personnel office. It's a because that's what Mike Brown fosters, that he wants the coaches involved in that draft process, and they may not be as involved as they have been in the past, but they are as involved as I think as any coaches in the league, and I think that's key, because it's just not picking a guy. It's drafting them. It's playing them. It's bringing them along. It's development too. So that's why it's hard. It's hard to make a call after I had to make a call after a year sometimes too. I mean, Cam Taylor-Britt was in a slump. I think he's coming out of it now. I think he's playing better, but I don't call him a bust. He had two very good years. He's on the cusp of the Pro Bowl. He did not play well early. He's playing better. But, it can't be, hot button. What about the last 2 years? Was he a bust then? No. Is he a bust now? I wouldn't say he's a bust now. Did he struggle? Did he go in a slump? Yes, he did. But, I mean,
It's interesting you'd mention the coaches, because something Jerry would always say to me, and I'm sure over the years this is very true, not just in the Bengals personnel department, but others. And he would always laugh. He would talk to coaches from other teams who would complain about their scouting department. They drafted this guy in the 4th round. Yeah. They bring him to me. He's a jerk. He's a horse's ass. I can't coach him. He won't listen. I didn't know the first thing about him. I watched him on film, but I didn't get to know him. And it's interesting that, the Bengals coaches do get to know the guys they've scouted and who they're bringing in, from a personality standpoint. Can I coach them? Can I communicate with them?
I think the key thing, that's right, Tom. I think the key thing is the way it is now. The personnel department guides the thing, runs the thing, because they've been doing this all year, And then when the draft season comes, the coaches Zoom. They do the Zooms now. They'll visit campus, but I think they really got a great system, because they've got Duke Tobin drives it, his scouts drive it, and they steer it. And I think it's I think they kind of feed off each other. Believe me, Lou Anarumo, he's talking to, during free agency, Lou Anarumo was talking to Steve Radicevic, the director of pro scouting, and Steve Radicevic and Mike Potts and these guys, they know what Lou wants, and they're talking, they talk all the time. I mean, and so I think it's, and that's where the continuity comes in with the coaching staff too. You're not, you don't change a coordinator every 2 years, and then all of a sudden you're, instead of looking for, small shifty nickel corners, all of a sudden you're looking for maybe bigger cover 2 guys or whatever. You're not, you kind of get into a role that way too.
James?
Geoff, let's talk about the game on Sunday. Obviously, an AFC North slobber knocker, if you want to use that word.
The last one was.
It definitely was. Started off on the right foot with the Charlie Jones kickoff return for a touchdown. Cleveland certainly in a different space. Obviously, Deshaun Watson on IR. Nick Chubb just returned for our game. Now he just banged up his ankle. Gone. This traded Amari Cooper. Traded Smith to Detroit. Certainly a banged up team, like a lot of teams are in the NFL right now. I'm going to start DTR at quarterback. Jameis Winston on the bench. What do you think we can expect Sunday at Paycor Stadium?
Well, I tell you, it's not DTR's first trip to Paycor Stadium. I remember actually bumping into him they brought him in pre-draft for a visit. And nice kid. I met him, spoke with him for a little bit. Nice, bright kid. Physical specimen, interesting guy. I would imagine they're just going to, they're going to do what everybody's trying to do. It's what Cali tried to do last week in Nashville, load it up, run the ball, keep Burrow off the field, and the Bengals run defense has been, their entire defense has been, under the gun all year. A lot of missed tackles, been shoved around a little bit, but I thought they put their foot in the ground in Nashville. Cali, they ran a lot of extra, they were basically facing the Cleveland running game because Brian Callahan's dad, Bill Callahan, is the O-line coach, had been up in Cleveland forever. So what the Bengals saw in Nashville, they'll no doubt see again against Cleveland. And I thought they held up pretty well, right? I mean, I think they gave Spears less than 3 yards a carry. It was tough sledding for him, and they'll have to do that again because I think that's what they're going to do. Obviously, they got this guy DTR. I think to me he's dangerous. He scares you because he can run. That's the dynamic. That's what you didn't have in Tennessee on Sunday. I mean, Levis and Rudolph, they can't move, and they were flummoxed back there in the pocket. So, but DTR, it's going to be a totally different game. So he'll make it nervous. He can run, and then no doubt they'll be going 2-way with him. But big thing is that the big thing will be to jump on it early and send everybody. Let them get introduced to Hendrickson and Osai and have a conversation with maybe 52. Just get all these people on them, and the big thing will be jumping to the lead. And I think I think Burrow obviously has the Cleveland thing off his back, and there's a lot that's on the line. Not only the playoffs, but we're like Tom said before, we're talking about history. I mean, Jamar in one day on Sunday. Jamar he could break his own Bengals record for yards. He could break Pickens' record for touchdowns in a season. He could break TJ's record for most catches in a season. If he goes something for 12 for 120 and 2 touchdowns, somebody's got to get to the printing press because that will break 3 of the major records in one game.
Yeah.
One other note along that, I thought Mims, obviously a rookie there, right tackle, held up well against Myles Garrett there in their first meeting. Certainly another great test for him here. What's your thoughts on that matchup? And we all know what a player Myles Garrett is, and another great test for Mims at right tackle.
Yeah, I think Garrett usually goes over to left tackle but he did give Mims a few shots back in the October game. He didn't get any sacks against Cody Ford played really well. Cody Ford played in that game in place of Orlando Brown Jr., and he may be doing the same thing again. He was ill. Cody Ford was ill and missed the game in Tennessee. But I imagine he'll be ready to be back for Garrett. But Mims has been the real deal. I mean, how often are guys better than advertised? I think Mims is better than advertised because they were wondering, he hadn't had much of a college career, hadn't played much, and but he's been everything they thought he'd be. There's been some rookie hiccups, but like Zach said Monday, you don't notice them. You certainly didn't notice them Sunday on the road, loud crowd. Some pretty good. The second best defense in the league. Held up, didn't hear his name, and and he's just going to get better. I mean, this kid didn't. This kid played. I think we had the note today. He had 803 snaps in college his entire career. He's got 802 this year, so he'll go over it finally. But this guy's just going to get better and better. So, but James, I'm not sure how much Garrett's going to go. Garrett's going to try and probe a little bit, so he might not prefer to go against a 6'8", 340-pound, Mims. He may try to take another shot at Cody. Cody did a good job on him, in that first game. That broke the streak. Garrett had come into that game 7 straight games against the Bengals. He had at least a sack, and they shut him out. So they'll need to do that again. And the big thing will be you can't, and I hate to say it sounds like a cliche, just churning it out, but it is true. They're 3-10 or whatever, or 3-11. I don't know what the hell they are, but I do know this: Jim Schwartz is the DC, and they've got great athletes on defense, and it's going to be, it's going to be a pain in the ass because that's how they play, and they're going to be close to the vest on offense. They're not going to, they're going to rely on that, a very good running game scheme, and they'll make it tough. It's just probably be just a repeat of that game up in Cleveland, where it was 21-14, and it was just like James called it, a slobber knocker. And I would imagine, we'll see more to sing.
Yeah. Well, Geoff, we'll close with this. This has been a crazy season, not what we expected, right? A couple balls bounce our way early in the season. We're talking playoffs for sure. Now let's just win these last 3 games. Let's see what the hell happens here, right? But some of the other things that, these other stats we're seeing that we didn't expect this year, Sam Hubbard has scored as many touchdowns as Deebo Samuel for the San Francisco 49ers. All the crazy stuff going on right now. Yeah. But it's been a crazy year. I just, let's win these last 3. Let's see if the Chargers can get a dub against the Broncos, and we can beat the Broncos here next week. So who knows? Let's just keep winning, see what happens here, Geoff. But you've been through a lot of seasons with the Bengals, and seasons like this happen every now and then, but it's been crazy.
Well, but it's been, there have been some wacky seasons, but I don't know if Jimmy and you guys know this. You've been watching them. Right from the New England game, when it looks like Gesicki's in, it looks like Tanner Hudson's in. They don't get either touchdown. They get beat. They get their fourth and 15. That game's over in Kansas City.
Right.
The snap doesn't get down against Baltimore in overtime. It's just, it's really, there have been seasons when they've struggled, but I can't remember a season where really 3 or 4 plays and it's a completely different narrative. Tanner Hudson holds on to the ball against New England. They don't throw the flag on Dejon Anthony in Kansas City. The defense makes one stop against Washington. They get a sack in Baltimore instead of Lamar getting away. And where are we at? That's we're talking about,
flipping the record.
If it flips it, we're 10-4. So I just, it's it's hard to fathom, but it's also, I mean, it just shows you whenever you get number 9 in there, you're always going to have a shot.
You got it. Well, Geoff, brother, we appreciate you being with us tonight, man. It means a lot.
We didn't even get to the Hall of Fame, Jimmy. We didn't even get to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, let's talk. I didn't know if you had time, but let's talk about Kenny and Willie. Let's talk about Kenny Anderson first. He just missed getting in. The positive thing is, sounds like he's still going in the right direction for next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, somebody tried to tell me, well, maybe you got to use another angle with Anderson, and I'm thinking, what more angles do you want? I mean, pioneer of the West Coast offense, 4 passing titles. I mean, the 3rd most wins from 1970 to 85, behind only Bradshaw and Stabler. I don't know what else, I don't know where else the argument goes, So I don't know, if they want to change. I mean, I don't know what arguments they want to use. Maybe we can come up with one, Jimmy, between now and next year. But
let's
I don't know.
Dude, Geoff, I know you've been working your ass off, man, and it's just it's frustrating. But we're gonna keep fighting, man. We know we'll be behind you all the way, helping as much.
I know, I appreciate that, and I do. And at least with the senior committee, when these guys go in, the guys who are going in deserve to be in.
Right?
Tyre, Sterling Sharp. These guys, they're obviously worthy, but so's Kenny.
No doubt. Let's talk about Willie coming up here soon, right?
Yeah, I hope. That was the final. Let's see. I don't know when that's gonna. I don't know. Jimmy, I don't know when the. Just that we know. By the Super Bowl, we'll know.
Right.
We'll know the answer.
Right.
So
he was pretty close last year too. So
he was close. So hopefully he rides. He can ride the momentum, and then coming up next year, I think Geno Atkins is eligible too. So, I think it's. I think that, the club really appreciates the light you have shown on the Hall of Fame on the deserving players who have played for this franchise and deserve to be recognized. And I know that's appreciated by fans and the team alike. And we got a few Hall of Famers playing right now.
That's right. That's right. Geoff, we're not going to let anybody erase our players, man. We're not going to let our legends be forgotten, man. We'll keep pushing on our end, man. But we appreciate everything you do on your end, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man, and we love you, buddy.
James, it's good to see you. Thank you, Jimmy. It's always great to spend time with the archivist, Tom, who knows it up and down from 1968 and on. And James, what do you think? I don't think Belichick will get out of the dome alive.
No, Fran Brown has got us going in the right direction against a portaled Washington State team. So to get 10 wins here, Fran Brown's first year, we'll take it.
Bill doesn't want to go to the dome.
Yes. That's going to be a fun game. That's going to be next year's schedule is a gauntlet. But hey, nobody expected 10 wins this year either. So
it was just a matter of time. Was just a matter of time before the Syracuse took over.
I'm not a big fan of the ACC. Give me an Eastern, give me a Big East. Give me a, I don't know. Give me something. Something. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to, hard for me to get into a Syracuse Wake Forest game. It's a tough.
I agree. That's when I mentioned West Virginia earlier about Chris Henry. I was thinking about the old Big East days and.
Give me Syracuse, give me Syracuse Pitt. Give me Pitt, West Virginia. Give me Penn State, Syracuse. Sorry, Jimmy. I know I'm killing you guys. I know.
No. It's fine.
Hey, Jimmy Brown. I mean, every time I see a 44 in the locker room, I tell him, hey, Google 44 Syracuse.
That's right.
Jim Brown, the greatest player of all time. Ernie Davis, the first Black Heisman Trophy winner. Floyd Little, Hall of Famer. So.
Yep.
We need to find. Fran Brown had a cup of coffee with the Bengals.
Yes, he did.
Camp. We need to find some.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. Hey, I'm still trying to get Terry Francona for a story. I want to. He's a guy who was born in Pittsburgh, coached in Cleveland, and I just wanted to, managed in Cleveland. I just wanted to see what his view of the Bengals were if he cared about football. But that will be a story for another day.
There you go.
Another day. You got Crochet in Boston to throw the ball.
Yeah, well, I hope somebody's coming with them. I hope they got a right-handed bat out there is coming. It was kind of funny. We were in Dallas the night that trade came down. We happened to be having dinner like in the same place where the Boston media was, because they were down there for the winter meetings.
Okay, yeah.
In Dallas, was in Dallas, when we were there. So I was able to slobber over some Red Sox media types, and unfortunately, they were the ones that broke us the news that Soto was not coming. So, but I think there's another couple right-handed bats out there. Maybe they get Bregman, right? Who knows?
The Reds need one, and I don't think we got the money from. We saw you guys leave. We were having a nice. We switched gears from Syracuse to
sorry about
baseball
that.
talk. Baseball.
Right, Tom McGill. We probably lost Tom. We probably lost Tom McGill on that one. So.
when it comes to baseball talk, I was going to segue a little bit. That Jeff normally gives us an update on Teddy Ballgame and Tony C. I don't see him running around anywhere.
No, Tony C. We were just playing. I just took Ted for a walk because Miami University is now vacant because of vacation. So Teddy Ballgame roamed Miami University like his namesake roamed left field at Fenway today. And Tony C. Is trying to bite me. I don't know why. I think he thinks I'm Jack Hamilton. I don't know. Sorry, kids. You'll have to Google Jack Hamilton and Tony.
Too funny.
Tony's eye.
All right, Jeff. Well, have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you all down Sunday at Paycor, and hopefully the Chargers beat the Broncos on Thursday night.
I know we'll all be watching, right?
Yes, sir. Jeff, we appreciate you, buddy. Means a lot.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Love talking to you guys.
You too, man.
Care. Thank you, Jeff. Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
He is the best.
James, that was great, man. That was great.
I saw you guys leave.
Tom, I took us off screen so they could just have their conversation.
Our ratings in Northwest New York are off the charts.
We lost 78% of our viewers in that 3-minute time span. I don't know what happened.
That just shows the diversity here at Bengal Gyms. We switched from Syracuse to Red Sox to
Craig was sideways in the chat area.
I think as steam's coming off his post here, just smoke coming off it. Oh man,
that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, let's go ahead and close this damn thing out. If you're just joining us kind of late, you missed the first quarter of the show. You missed Santa Claus. Santa Claus was live here. Tom missed him too. Tom signed on a little late today, but sorry you missed Santa. What a great conversation with Santa. You're going to have to go back and watch the beginning of the episode to catch what Santa had to say. Some very breaking news from Santa this year as well. Tom, go ahead and kick us off, bud.
We're not out of it yet, and there is a way. But before we even get to Sunday, send all positive energy out to the Chargers out west Thursday night. So everybody pull for the Chargers, and, we'll go a step at a time. Step one is the Chargers winning Thursday. Step two is us taking care of business against the Browns on Sunday. So we'll go a step at a time and see what we have. But again, thank all of you for joining us. There's a lot of different places you can get your Bengals news, a lot of different ways you can talk to Bengal fans. So it means so much that you'd spend an hour with us every Tuesday night. And we will, I don't know if Jimmy brought this up earlier because I was not on early in the show. We will not be on the next 2 weeks because next week is Christmas Eve. And it's not to say if anybody wants to come over to the house, trust me, my family will be talking Bengals football. But and then the following week is New Year's Eve. And do we have college football playoff games that night, James? New Year's Eve.
Syracuse plays December 27th, 5 p.m. Holiday Bowl against Washington State.
They're not in the playoffs?
Barely missed it.
By that much. But so we will not be on New Year's Eve and we will not be on Christmas Eve. We'll be on the following week, hopefully talking Bengal playoffs, and if not, kind of wrapping up the season. But thank you all so very much. Very safe and Merry Christmas to all of you. James?
I'm going to go on a Tom tangent here and say, heck with the NFL, flexing us out of Thursday night, and screwed up my Christmas.
Don't get me started.
Flights booked on Saturday. Again, I'm still amazed that that Denver wanted to play on a short week away, and as big of a game as it is. And then the news today, which we failed to mention, the Saturday at 4:00 was like the second double whammy for James and his Christmas travel plans. I thought maybe they would repay us since they flexed us out of the Thursday game, give us Sunday night prime time against the Broncos, which would have been huge if they'd lost this Thursday and we win Sunday. But that didn't happen either. So it is what it is. Maybe I'll make a game here in the next 2 weeks. Probably not, but hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas. Great turnout in Nashville. Sunday morning was a little rainy, little dreary, kind of looked like a typical Cleveland day, but fans showed up, and I don't know what it looked like or sounded like on TV, but half of Nissan Stadium was orange and black. So as always, Bengals fans showed out. Thank you to everybody that came and hung out with us at the tailgate or drank a beer with us on Broadway. Nashville's always so much fun, and look forward to a win Sunday at Paycor. Don't forget your Toys for Tots if you're coming to the tailgate, and also Special Olympics, our charity that we have this week. Jimmy?
Yeah.
Jimmy, if I could interrupt James's, his fit real quick. Just another note. When the NFL is not screwing the Bengals with their god-awful officials from the offices there in New York, it's the schedule makers, because now we'll get to play Denver off of a mini bye. They'll get a couple extra days off to rest before they play us. And then the Steelers will get a week and a half because they play on Wednesday before they heal up to play us. So you got to love the NFL offices in New York. I don't even know if they put a lot of time in it. I think it's just natural reaction. There's always out to screw the Bengals. Jimmy?
Not doing us any favors, for sure.
Great. Good rant, Tom. I'm glad you got that in. Before, that was Tom's last rant of 2024, everybody. So,
on air. Come over to the house.
We will see everybody in 2025. Just want to say, don't forget the Tailgate Sunday, the charities time that James just talked about. We have yet another wedding, so come down and enjoy another wedding at the tailgate. Toys for Tots, bring a toy down. You guys, just want to say thanks for everything for 2024. We'll be at the tailgate. You guys taking time out of your evenings on Tuesdays to join us here on the show. It means a lot to us, and it feels good to kind of get together with Bengals family all across the country and have these conversations. But we love you guys. Merry Christmas. Have a great, great Christmas and New Year's with your friends and family. Good day, everybody.
Hey.